Blake found a good buck this morning. He circled around to this side and tried to find him, and Blake went to the other side and found him. I waited for him. We came in over here. The wind was out of the north. Snuck up here. Blake found him bedded, just antler tips, and then what happened, Blake?
Dropped an Onyx pin right on him, and it worked. Like you draw it up, and we were sneaking down the other side there and picked out his antler tips, and we got down in a low spot here and put the decoy up, wind in our face. As soon as he stood up, he would see the decoy and be at 45 yards or so, and
hopefully just give us a couple seconds.
Stand there and look at the decoy, and I think it would have worked beautifully, but the wind switched 180 degrees while we were sitting there and went from 5 miles an hour out of the northwest to 30 miles an hour out of the south.
Yeah.
So
I don't even know if you guys will be able to hear us talking right now. It's howling.
It's just, there ain't nothing you can do about it. We sitting here talking about it a second ago, and that was the smartest play that we could have made. Had we tried to go around the other side, the other deer would have picked us off, and it just, one of them things, but I thought we had an easy one.
And he might be smarter than we thought, too. He left his does and took off to the north. We just watched him run a mile, but we think we know where he's at, so we're going to try to go relocate him.
All right. All right, so we came around towards where that buck went, and I picked him back up, and he's picked up another doe. We can't see him from the road anymore, so we're gonna kind of ease down this fence line, look off in this little drainage here, and see if we can't pick him back up before he lays back down. It's super duper windy, so if we can get him bedded, he's just got one doe with him. There's enough yuccas and stuff in this drainage, we should be able to get pretty close. So. All right, so we got the buck bedded. We found him. We come around the other side. There just wasn't quite enough cover for us to get out and around him. The wind's right at his back. I think his doe's down below him. I hadn't found her yet. Hopefully we'll be able to see her when we get over there. She'll be right there close by somewhere, but the wind's right at his back. But I think we've got enough cover in the yuccas and stuff that we can kind of just cheat the wind just a little bit and get right in there. And I don't know, hopefully this is it, because he's pretty close to the boundary of what we can hunt and what we can't. So just got 2 sets of eyeballs to fool, so hopefully we can get him.
Well, yesterday we found a good buck for Blake. Got 2 stalks on it. Nothing. No. Wind switched one time. The other time he just kind of lost and then stepped on it. I've got a whitetail only tag. We've seen 3 whitetails, all does, all 3 running about 2 miles away for no reason. We've seen 5 coyotes, which is 5 times as many whitetail bucks as we've seen. We're going to work up or start up here by a ranch that has a little bit of bottom land to it, and then see if we can't turn up a whitetail buck. But it's looking a little different than it did last year and here. I mean, it didn't get much water. It's pretty tough. So we'll keep looking. Maybe we can find another buck for Blake. Maybe we'll find something for me. But right now, it's not looking super great. It's looking like I should have headed my butt back to Kansas. At least I know there's a couple bucks there.
Alright, well, we didn't really record anything yesterday evening after I blew that stalk. I was a little frustrated, to say the least. We crawled into 19 yards. I had Tony come up from across that little drainage, and I was trying to kind of get him to where he could see me and the buck and kind of let me know where he was at, so I could get a gauge on just basically a distance of, you know, my buffer zone or whatever. And we got in there, and basically I just ended up having to go in blind. I knew the doe was there, had a pretty good idea of about where he was, but we just got too close and the doe picked us off. Kim threw up the doe decoy and he stood, and about the time I got to full draw, he blew out of there. So the good news is we've got him again this morning, so we're fixing to go in and try and get eyeballs on him. I know which drainage he's in. It's just a matter of getting down there and catching him still standing up, hopefully. If not, hopefully we can pick him out bedded and just pick it all apart, just one step at a time. I think Tony's finally found a whitetail. He's trying to get eyeballs on it right now, and there's a couple other mule deer that he's found this morning. I don't think either one of them are as good as this one, but at the very least we got a few options now. But I still think that this is the best deer we've seen for sure. I don't know what he's going to score, maybe high 70s, low 80s is kind of where I kind of think he's going to fall. So we'll go put a move on him and see if we can't get it done this time. The weather's going to be really good today. It's north wind of 10 to 12, so you know, not great conditions for getting super close, especially when they've got a bunch of does with them, but good conditions for shooting, so we can extend our range out just a little bit today. Yesterday we probably couldn't have shot much over 20, 25, 30 yards as hard as the wind was blowing. But anyway, we'll get down here and see if we can't find him. Hopefully Tony can turn that whitetail up and get on him.
Alright, so I've got a spike at about 60 yards right over here, but the buck and the does is 80 to 100 yards down below us. It's really, really quiet, and this is really, really crunchy, but our wind is just almost bad. I'm honestly pretty surprised I hadn't smelled this yet, so we really need to work down a little bit more, otherwise it's just kind of a matter of time before this blows up. As crunchy as it is, even crawling is pretty loud because all your fabric and stuff is catching on everything. So we're just gonna, I can't see them, I can barely see them when they're standing up. So if they're laying down, we should be out of their sight, and just try and work down a little bit closer and be patient. Oh, the wind just got kind of goofy. We were fixing to make that move down to get a little bit closer, and I looked up and he was standing up, and he was about time we quit recording the last clip actually. And I think they were just getting little whiffs of us, and I put the decoy up and he kind of acted like he might come this way, and then he kind of threw his nose up, and they didn't seem super spooked. You know, sprayed down with some scent control stuff, and I know that's not the end all be all obviously, but it does, I think, help a little bit for them not to get such a strong whiff of you. So he just kind of eased over that next little rise, Tony sent video of a buck that they found over on the other end of the ranch, and I think it might be a better buck than this one. After looking at this one a little closer, I think maybe 165 to 170-ish. But the buck that they sent video of has got a lot of mass, and he's bladed, and you know, I'll take that any day. Anytime you can get some mass, even if it doesn't necessarily score. I love the mass, so we'll go see if we can't turn him up. I think they saw him bedded earlier, so hopefully he's kind of in the same spot. See if we can't get on him. Then we can always come back over here and try and get back on this one. I haven't had any issues finding him so far anyways, so it's just a matter of getting him in the right spot. That first day, man, I felt like we had just the perfect setup, and just an untimely wind switch, and it just went from 5 miles an hour out of the north to 30 miles an hour out of the south within 10 seconds. But it just is what it is. We've had some unlucky stuff happen. This was kind of a low percentage play, I think. So you know, this wasn't as high probability, but maybe we can get a good opportunity at this other one. Maybe it'll be a little bit better play than this one was. All this stuff's just so crunchy, and it's not as dry as Kansas or as barren as Kansas, but it's still very dry here as well. So everything's super crunchy and super loud, and that's why I'm hunting in these damn hay dudes, is because they're so much lighter weight and they're super quiet compared to boots. But we'll go see if we can't get on this other one and see what happens.
How is this, the third morning? I don't even remember. I think so. I think it's our third day. Blake's gotten a couple stalks every day. We still haven't found a whitetail. We found one whitetail buck, but nothing worth going after. I think we're up to, we're kind of a joke, 7 coyotes, 1 whitetail buck. It doesn't look good here. Like, there's just nothing for him to hide, and there's no shelter, so no cover. So I think they've moved on. This is nothing like it was last year. Not sure how it changes so fast, but when there's no grass and no weeds, the whitetail just moved to where there is. So, but we're seeing lots of mule deer, so hopefully I can get Blake on something. And it is what it is. We're still hunting. There's still a chance. Could come around a corner and be a giant buck standing out there. Dude, I think we just found our new glassing spot. He's gonna go check out the does. Alright, well, we finally found a mature whitetail. He's not a giant, but it's what we got. So, not sure if I'm even gonna kill him, but we're gonna go try to locate him. He kind of disappeared in this draw behind us. And we have private property issues too, so we might find him and not even be able to do anything. But it's something to do, and it is cold. It's like 20 degrees. It's blowing 15 miles an hour. I think I got on everything I brought with me this morning, so I ran out of clothes. So I'm trying not to freeze my cameraman out, but we gotta go at least try to find this buck. See, the coyote's got that one. Coyote's got one. So, this would explain we've seen 13 coyotes now in 3 days. Really 2.5 days, just started. And we've only got 4 whitetail bucks. pinned down here. They're right on the other side of the property line. But I'd already watched him push off another buck. So he came in, that little buck came in, and he just puffed right up and pinned his ears back and ran him out. So we're gonna loop back around because we can't move in any closer. They're 250 yards away. We're gonna loop around. The wind's still out on the north, so we'll be fine. But we're coming from the west. There's a little bit of a rise, and they're on the leeward side of the wind. They're out of the wind. But if we come up from that side, I think I can get within his circle of comfort, show him the decoy. I hope he comes over. He's a big 8. He's pretty cool looking. He's got 6 or 7 does though, so that's gonna add to the difficulty. I wish he just had 1, but we gotta play. So we got all the way up here where we're 120 yards from where they were bedded, and it was actually, we had more terrain than I thought. We were going to be able to walk almost to at least, to where we wanted to set up, which is about maybe 30-40 yards from them, from the fence line. Dump the backpack, get the decoy out, grab what I need. We start working up. I make it 10 steps, and one of them randomly stands up and it's like, there's some people. So, bad luck. Try again. We'll see what we can find.
All right, we've had just about everything go wrong that can go wrong at this point, I think, but I've got a buck bedded with, I believe it's 5 does right at the back end of this cut field. It's not really a great approach in there, but I mean, if we can get close and show them the decoy and get them convinced that we're another deer, they should settle back down and we can kind of get away with whatever we want at that point, I hope. Yeah. We got a wind that's north to south right now. They're bedded at the south end of this field, so we're gonna kind of have to come in from the side, and that's the side the buck's on, and he's facing our way, so hopefully there's enough tall grass and stuff we can kind of hide behind at the back of this field. I really don't know how good he is. I can just tell he looks like a pretty good buck from way off. The mirage and stuff's real bad right now. So, and it is cold, cold, cold. It's like 20 something degrees right now and a 15-mile-an-hour north wind. So hopefully this happens quick. All right, that buck was actually bedded about, I don't know, 35, 40 yards right behind where Cam's filming from. We got about half to 3/4 of the way over here, and they got up and started to feed out into the field that we were trying to get through. We were trying to get to this, the tall grass here, the edge of this field, and just kind of work our way down with the decoy. That would have given us enough cover where we could kind of hide, and he was actually the closest deer this way. So, if, ands, or buts, but if we could have, got in here about 20 minutes earlier and he was still in his bed, I think we would have had a really good shot at it. We still almost pulled it off a couple of times. The does just never fully jived with the decoy. They kind of did for a minute, and then it never ended up smoothing them over. So at some point we just had to be aggressive, and we kind of got up and started moving towards them, and they let us do that 3 times, and third time they were gone. So not a giant buck, but it was a pretty good buck. I don't think he's as good as the one that we've been on 2 or 3 different times now, but it's a good opportunity. That's all we can ask for, is some opportunities and stock opportunities. We've had plenty of them. We've just had some bad luck and a bad decision here or there, and that's what's cost us to this point. So we'll go back to pick up and try and find another one. He ran onto some stuff that we can't hunt, so we'll get back in the saddle. Pull all these damn stickers out of my ankles. All right, this is probably the last 2 raw for us. We're probably gonna hunt for a little while in the morning, but I think I've found the buck that we've been on 3 different times now, finally. We don't know exactly where he's at. We have a pretty good idea that he's in a little football field sized area. Got a west wind. We're gonna come up from the east, work down the fence line, and hopefully get eyes on him, and then kind of make a plan from there. But it's kind of coming down to the last minute here, so hopefully we can get in there and get an arrow in him.
night, same story, different day. That was probably our best opportunity that we've had at him. Basically where he was at, we didn't really have a play from the east side. There was 200 yards of nothing between us and him, and me and Cam sat there and talked it over, and we decided to go take a look, because on X, we pulled up on X and looked at the map, and that little cut that he was in had a little dry creek bed that ran right up the middle of it. And we decided to go around there and at least look at it to see if we thought we could do anything with it. And it was literally about that wide and about 1.5 feet, 2 foot deep in most places, but it was just enough that, number one, we could walk quietly because it had dirt in the bottom of it, but number two, we could keep kind of low down to the ground so it doesn't look like two people knelt behind a little tiny decoy. But we got in. The does actually got up whenever we were working in. They looked at the decoy, and I mean, immediately it just didn't bother them. They just wrote it off like, well, there's another doe. And the buck stood up, and as soon as he stood up and saw the decoy, I mean, he came on a string right to us. And I was sitting there ranging him over Cam's left shoulder, and he was walking straight at us. And I told Cam, unfortunately the audio wasn't working, but I told Cam, I said, I'm gonna let him get close. And he was acting like he was just fixing to walk right into 15 yards. And based on, the other experience that we had the other day and Tony's past experiences that he's told me about, I just wanted to play it patient and just let him get super close. And he got to about 60 yards and stopped and looked. And I think at that point he decided, well, I better get the wind. And he started kind of cutting around our downwind side, and I had Cam in between me and the deer, so I couldn't really range him. I didn't know how far he was. And he finally popped out on Cam's right shoulder. I clicked the rangefinder, 55. He stopped, clipped the release on, and basically as soon as I hit full draw, he didn't like it. I think had we not been messing with this deer for 3 days and him not being the smartest deer in Colorado now, the decoy would have given us a couple seconds there for me to anchor in and shoot. But it's just frustrating. We've been so close, and we've made a lot of really good stalks, and we've put ourselves in good positions, and it just seems like there's always like that 1% that just, it just always bites us. But I know where he went. We've not had any trouble turning this deer up. We found him in some pretty obscure places. Finally found him again today. We didn't see him at all yesterday, and he was tucked in a hole that about the size of a football field, that the only way you can see it basically is to be within a couple 100 yards of him in this one little corner, and you can't see it from any road or anything. You've got to walk up there to look at him, and hopefully we can put some eyes on him this evening. We probably won't make a play on him this evening, but he's not going to leave this area, this whole section. He's calling home, so hopefully in the morning we can put something together on him, pick him up, put him to bed. And I mean, we're just right there. We just need one thing to go right, and it just is what it is. But hopefully we can get back on him tomorrow.
Second to last day in Colorado before I head back to Kansas, and I think Blake heads home. We finally figured out where all the whitetail are. There are some private land alfalfa pits about 4 or 5 miles to the north of where we're hunting, and we rolled up on them 2 hours before dark, and there was 75 deer on this pivot, and it's not that big of a pivot. Went back just half hour before dark, and there was 3 mature bucks in there. No giants, but I don't think they are the big boy in there, because they were all kind of chummy with each other. So there is public access, like a walk-in area right next to it. It doesn't butt into it, but we just saw some bucks coming out of it. Not the big ones, but for something to do in the morning, we're gonna sneak in there and hopefully not get busted by the deer, and see what's on the public. Do some rattling maybe. It's a little too thick to do my normal spot and decoy or spot and stalk, but who knows? Might find something cruising through there and be able to bring him over. It's fun just to see a 4.5-year-old deer. All right. So yesterday we found the mother load of does. All the whitetail that we've been wondering where the heck they are. I gotta cover up my stitches because I don't know how to use a Taito. We found the does. There's public right next to them, and we were gonna move in and try to get as close as we can to it, and maybe rattle something off the food sources, or the bedding that they're using right next to it. It's the only chance we got. There's no whitetails up where we were hunting, and so we'll give her heck today, and this is kind of the last ditch effort in Colorado before I get my butt back to Kansas where all the big bucks are. I'm sure there's some here somewhere. We've just struggled big time. So here we go. How cool.
got this buck again. Picked him up this morning. He's not bedded in a great spot. He's only got 2 does with him. All the rest of them are further up the hill. The wind is really, really goofy today, as per usual. Tony, I think, is on some whitetails. I think he's trying to rattle a little bit this morning. But this is the 2-minute drill. So today's our last day. This may be our last stalk. So hopefully we can just have something go right. We almost had it all go right yesterday, and I just couldn't get drawn, and he whirled out of it. So hopefully this is it. We got in here and he was already up. He spotted us. We popped the decoy up, and I think it settled him down. They went over the next hill. They're probably 150 yards from us right now, but we're just gonna, we gotta be aggressive at this point. Just gonna go at him and hope it works.
Full draw. He's working his way around that little cut bank over there, just peeking in little by little and hoping to catch that buck bedded in there. Just got me excited because he came to full draw, but he couldn't see around an edge, and he drew just in case the buck was there. But I think that's all of it. I think he's looked at everything. He's not sneaking around anymore, so that might be it. We might be leaving Colorado with 0 dead animals. No deer for us. But I'm going back to Kansas. Now he's walking down further, so there's another little pocket looks like about 500 yards from here. From him, that has banks in it that could hide a deer. I think he's walking over there. I'm ready to go to Kansas.
He wasn't in there. We actually were fixing to go pack all of our clothes up and leave, and the buck crossed the county road basically almost in front of us. We watched where he went, and he went down in this little cut here, and we never saw him come out of it, but I just flow stalked around the whole thing, and he's not in there, so he must have slipped out. But I guess this pretty much wraps it up. I'm ready to get home, and it's been a kick in the pants, but we came close a bunch of times. I never got to full draw on something that was standing still. So it's pretty hard to shoot one when they won't stand still. I just think they're super jumpy because of the lack of cover. Me and Tony were talking about it last night, and he definitely, he's been hunting in the plains for years, and he says he's never seen the deer this jumpy. Just see the pickup from a mile off and haul ass. But anyway, I guess this about wraps it up. Maybe Tony will kill something in Kansas. I think he's going to go back to Kansas and hunt there for another week or so. So I bet he'll turn something up.
Okay, back in Kansas, and winter came early. It's snowing sideways. It's 24 degrees, blowing 40 miles an hour, not gusts, consistent, solid 40, and it's snowing. Visibility is probably a quarter mile. I'm on my way to get my stitches removed from my idiot move cut. Yeah, shooting a bow in this is gonna be fun. But I've got a little bit of time, and Blake and Cam had to go back home to work, real life, and I'm alone. So I'll get these stitches out and see if I can't find something tucked away in a spot that's protected from this north wind, which I know a bunch of those little spots, little cut out banks that the deer just nestle in there and they don't move. They weren't moving this morning. At daylight I saw like maybe 10 does, one little buck, 2 little bucks. They were moving to areas to hide from this. It is really nasty out right now, so that's what I got. Okay, second day back in Kansas. Yesterday afternoon, after the snow stopped, deer just came out of, they were coming out of everywhere, and I found a buck that I've got 2 previous years of history with. He's got a mark across his back. Looks like someone backstrapped him. He's lost a bunch of weight, but his rack has not changed much, and he's very, very identifiable. So we have a target acquired, and he is fantastic. I got a big 8-point right now. I'm watching bed, considering stalking in and see what happens, but usually if I'm not 100% like that, and I got something else big located, I'm not going to be happy. So this might be an all or nothing trip. So I think I'm going to go set up on that big guy and just wait for him to come off the private. Because where he's at right now, I can't come in. I asked. Okay. Gotta be quiet because got bucks about 400 yards away. So the buck that I've got years of history with, I saw him this morning. He's right down here a little ways, and I'm downwind, just kind of easing my way along, trying to see if I can glass him up in here. It's not gonna be easy, and this is high risk. But if I blow him out, I'm pretty sure I can relocate him, and I've got permission almost everywhere around me. So I'm gonna get pretty aggressive here, but I'm gonna ease along this east-west fence, cattle fence, kind of northwest wind, and they are north of me. So I can see little bucks up there staring into the weeds, so I'm pretty sure I know where he's at. Wish me luck. Well, that didn't work. I just looked up and he had me pinned. I was looking through the weeds. He couldn't really silhouette me. So I got down off my knees, drew back, stood up, turned, and he wasn't there anymore. Let down, and I heard something off to my right. So obviously I looked over there and he's moving through the timber. I started to draw, And I don't know what hit my release hit, but I got an arrow stuck up a tree 20 feet over there. No idea how I prematurely hit that thing. And then he, of course, stops at 40 yards broadside. And I'm loading another arrow. I watched him run about a half a mile. I'm gonna go around the block and see if I can relocate him. It's bigger than I thought. Okay. Haven't relocated the narrow buck, but I found the other buck, which was the one that pushed him out of his bed yesterday, and he's better than I thought. He's actually one of the bucks we tried to kill last year. I'm pretty sure I'll have to look back at the video, but he's got giant brow tines that splay out in a very particular angle, and I'm pretty sure it's, I think he shrunk up a little bit too. He's just got less length, but he's got one G2 that's forked, and he's a big bruiser, so he's got a doe and another little buck pestered him. I saw where they went into. It's thick though, so I'm gonna have to quarter the wind, cheat it, get in there. But, and who knows? Maybe the narrow buck's in there. But I mean, I've looked from every angle I can into this farm and I can't find him. So here we go. Okay, this is the humbling part in this film where I have to explain why I don't have a kill shot. I had the cameras rolling. When I worked in on the bucks sometime during when I turned the cameras on, and by the time the deer was dead on the ground, I looked down at the camera. They'd shut themselves off. The batteries were completely exhausted, even though when I started the stalk, they were 100% charged. They were cold. They were in the back of my backpack all day long, in and out of a vehicle, and I learned a valuable lesson that I need to keep them warmer, maybe somewhere inside a jacket or something, so I can swap them out before a stalk with a fresh, warm battery. I apologize. I appreciate you watching. I hope you watch the next one. I will try to do better. I'm learning at this, and the filming part of this is maybe more challenging, more difficult than finding and killing a mature buck. At least for me, it is. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next film. Well, I think we got him. Saw him go down. It's great blood. We have history of this big buck from last year. Big, beautiful plated brow tines. Just a fantastic old buck. And on a year like this, I cannot be happier. It's the second biggest buck I've seen. Obviously by now, if you're still watching, you've seen the video of the narrow buck, which I kind of fell in love with, but I think I pumped him out of the area for a while. I'm out of days. He's a great buck. He's not busted. I thought he was busted, but he's just kind of gnarly. Well, this took a little longer than I wanted it to. Kansas was a bugger, dealing with drought conditions. This was one of the bucks last year that was probably 25 inches bigger than he is this year. Pretty unmistakable with the brows and the angle that they come off his head and the little kicker. But had another big buck from last year I found that tried to get on. I'm sure if you watched it till here, you've seen the video of me messing up on the hem yesterday. But I figured I couldn't pass up this guy. I know he's an old bruiser. He's not what he used to be, but super cool character buck, and I couldn't be happier. It's a tough year out here this year. The grass is like 8 inches tall, if it hasn't been browsed over by cattle. And where it has been, where they've turned the cattle loose, it's just a mess. So I am delighted. Now I'm gonna go home. Okay, we got skull, deer, a bow, decoy, and a big ass backpack full of meat. Of course, I shot him in the middle of a section that's a mile by 2 miles. So even though it's Kansas, it's flat, it's still gonna hurt. All right, let's get this thing on and boogie.